Hello, this is Brian again. Welcome to part 2 of my Silvercrest Picnic Day Use Area walkabout. As I said, I've been here before, several occasions. One thing about the Silvercrest Picnic Area that has always fascinated me is this very old growth Calocedrus decurrens Incense-Cedar. And it's got the most un-Incense-Cedar like shape of any Incense-Cedar that I've ever seen. See, typically, Incense-Cedars are quite upright, quite pyramidal, narrowly conical. But this one seems to have some subsidiary trunks coming out here. This tree used to have a lot more foliage than it does now because I guess apparently I see where a lot of limbs have been broken and cut. I'm wondering why, because it's been almost 2 years. My last visit here was December of 2018, and I don't believe I even came to the Silvercrest area. I think I went straight down to Doan Valley. And it had some other hikes in mind, so I don't remember. Actually, it's probably been closer to 3.5 years since I've actually been here to the Silvercrest Picnic Area. But yeah, here it is. There's an interpretive sign that says it's about 400 years old. So that's why they have this protective little gate right here, so people don't go trampling around and messing with it. And of course, you can see it's got a lot of little saplings underneath it. The one thing you'll find a lot here at Palomar Mountain, Incense-Cedar seedlings and saplings are a dime a dozen here. Especially along the Doan Valley Nature Trail, you'll see probably thousands upon thousands of Incense-Cedar seedlings and saplings. These trees can be very, very prolific. But actually, to be honest with you, this Incense-Cedar looks more like what you'd expect from a Sierra juniper in the San Bernardino National Forest. A lot of Sierra junipers look like this with the extra trunks coming out the side, but I've always been amazed at the insane beauty that this tree possesses. And this tree's been around since probably, honestly, this sign's been here for years, the same sign, so it could be older than we think. It says it's an estimated age, of course. So this tree might have been here since sometime in the 1500s, possibly. Maybe longer. Maybe a little less, I don't know, but just fascinating. Always been fascinated by this tree. As I said, it used to be a lot more foliated, had a lot more branches and stuff, but maybe there was some mechanical damage, or maybe wind damage, or something else. But it's one thing I've always liked about the Silvercrest Picnic Area. And another tree that's always interested me is this canyon live oak. I'm going to put my hand over this so I don't get water on my camera, because the fog drip is insane. Fog drip is why these trees grow here, because there's a very pronounced summer dry season here, as there is in pretty much all of Southern California. And I don't believe we get a lot of monsoon thunderstorms here. We probably do get some, but probably not a lot. Not like you would in the eastern slope of the San Jacintos and desert slopes of the San Bernardinos. But I have to put my hand over this a little bit because I don't want to get the camera wet. But one thing you'll notice about here at Palomar, and in contrast with a lot of the other places I visit, the canyon live oaks here are much larger than pretty much anywhere else I've visited. Even larger than a lot of the trees I've seen on the west slope of the Sierra Nevada. So these canyon live oaks here are enormous. But from what I've heard, Cuyamaca Rancho State Park used to have one of the largest ever recorded canyon live oaks. But it died. I don't believe it resprouted. I don't know if it resprouted from its base, which is very much what these are known to do. It might have, but it's not the largest tree anymore if the top is off. But these trees can live for several hundred years, apparently. And you'll see a lot of my hiking videos when I'm in places like the Angeles National Forest and San Bernardino National Forest, and usually the canyon live oaks are much smaller trees and even shrubs. Sometimes these can be shrubs, but here at Palomar they get very large. And here's the evidence. And then they have sometimes like 10, 12 trunks on them. So because they form clonal rings, they form clones around each other. A lot of times it's because of fire damage from a long time ago and other stuff, but they all can also form clonal thickets too. That's why in chaparral sometimes you'll see them in chaparral and they're very dense and brushy, much like the scrub oaks. And of course, there's your big acorn right there. Now, depending on what I got going on next week, hoping maybe to do a spotlight on trees on canyon live oak's closest Southern California relative, or one of the probably the closest relative, which is Palmer oak, Quercus palmeri, which is not found here. I'm not sure if it quite enters San Diego County, but Riverside County's your best bet for finding Palmer oak here in SoCal. I've seen it along Highway 74 going south from Garner Valley towards the foot of the Santa Rosa Mountains. That's where you'll be likely to spot Palmer oak. But another thing that you'll find very interesting about the Silvercrest area is, and of course, knowing me, I like to point out things that are related to plants. Well, it is related to plants, the plant life that lives here. If you've been in this area, you'll know that there are some rocky outcroppings here underneath, you guessed it, canyon live oaks. So canyon live oaks provided something very important: food. So as a result, and I'm not getting any closer to this, I'm not going to walk on top of the rock, but you can see the mortar holes here, the grinding holes that were used to grind the acorns and leach the tannic acids out of them. There you have it. So right here, right at the picnic area, you just go around past the old Incense-Cedar tree that I pointed out. Just come over here to this little rocky outcropping, and there you have it. A little piece of history right in front of you. The Kumeyaay, I believe the Kumeyaay or Luiseno Indians, I believe were the ones in this area. I believe were the Luisenos. Not a big history buff, but well, these big fat acorns off these canyon live oaks, they really liked them. And of course we got, another one of their favorites, which is Quercus kelloggi, the black oak, which is abundant here at Palomar. So a little history, a little botany, and of course wildlife. It's past deer on the way in, but it's not unusual to see deer at Palomar. There's one plant I didn't think grew above 5,000 feet, but I guess it does. Croton californicus, California croton. Did not know that plant grew this high up. Of course, one plant I'm not surprised to see. Pretty common here in SoCal, especially mid-elevation mountains and lower elevations. Artemisia dracunculus. Tarragon. And I had mentioned in my previous clip that we've had an extremely hot autumn here in Southern California, with a big exception of today. So our black oaks are still almost completely green. I've maybe seen a couple of light shades on a few leaves here and there, but it almost kind of looks like we're still in the month of September, even though it's late October. Usually by now these trees are very lit up in yellow and sometimes orange, and even with a few leaves showing some red. But this year I was expecting to see some fall color, but I also thought at the back of my mind that it could potentially not be quite lit up yet. Well, it's not lit up yet. So I was coming up here hopefully I was going to try to do a second spotlight on trees on the black oak, or California black oak, but it would have been more for the, a seasonal installment. Like some trees I do spotlights on, and I like to do them in installments because they have different seasonal colors. Well, I guess it's a little early for this year to be doing a fall spotlight on Quercus calogii, but maybe November might be a better month. Usually October is pretty lit up, especially here at Palomar. For some reason, late October is usually a really good time to come and see these trees in color. But like I said, this year's been anything but normal in any sense. So I guess I'm gonna have to put the spotlight on the fall spotlight on black oak on pause for a short time. But I guess I'm gonna go head down to Dome Valley. Sometimes the valley gets a lot of cold air drainage there, so maybe there'll be some more down there. But I'll see you down that way.